Sort of after a fire and you go and you try to clean up your house, where do you begin? You know, sometimes there are days where you feel that way. Like, what can I possibly do to fix this?
For almost a year now, our frontline healthcare workers have been pushed well beyond their limits, often forced to make impossible choices.
We made decisions on who would live and who would die. In the emergency room, we're taking care of 11, 12 patients at a time, when you really should be taking care of 4 or 5. You're allowing people to remain in a suffering state because you simply can't get to them.
The feeling of helplessness, overwhelming.
I could literally cry talking about it. But I knew at some point that this 87-year-old grandma who might have the biggest loving family at home, I knew she was coming to this hospital with the coronavirus and, ultimately dying alone.
All this, coupled with chronic understaffing and a lack of institutional accountability, is what some nurses say leads to burnout.
I am not a robot. I am a nurse.
A Penn LDI study that looked at hospital understaffing in New York and Illinois found that, quote, each additional patient per nurse was associated with significant increases in the odds of nurses reporting poor outcomes, including job dissatisfaction, intent to leave their job, and high burnout. And in many hospitals, all of that is already happening.
I personally have lost at least 6 RNs over the last calendar year. And some RNs I know personally that have left bedside without even a job lined up.
Simon Tang is one of those nurses, leaving his job at a New York City hospital after more than a year there.
The worst part is that we were just consistently critically understaffed. I just felt like I was reaching a point where I was getting frustrated at work, where I wasn't giving the best care I could, and where it was just becoming toxic for me to go into work and continue working under those conditions. So I made the decision to leave.
At times, the situation is so dire for these nurses that they choose to protest their assignment, meaning that they physically carry out their duties, but document that they do not feel they can adequately complete their jobs.
Think about that, a profession where you have to fill out something every day that says you're protesting your assignment, because it's sort of sharing liability. Look, I know I can't do this job right, so I'm filling out this form to let you know I can't do this job.
Those protest of assignment forms, have those been in place since before COVID?
Oh, yeah.
Have those increased with COVID or been
skyrocketed?
The physical and mental toll of the pandemic has left nurses forever changed.
I'm trying to come to terms with all that we've gone on, but that's just something that a lot of us will never forget, what we had gone on. PTSD is real in some of us.
So what do you do? Do you shut it out? Do you take it home? Do you become a different person?
But it's also pushed them to fight for a better future for nurses to come.
I think there are some people that really want to be nurses, seeing what we did and feeling really proud. I think that we can't lead them into a shiny path and then they walk into a hell. We want to make sure that they understand that we're going to do everything that we can to make this profession meaningful, and that they'll have the tools that they need to practice the profession. If we can either pass legislations or provide the supports for people to have what they need, I think the profession will flourish.
The Denver Public School District is on a mission to get all of its 18,000 teachers vaccinated by the end of next month. The district also emphasizing equity, prioritizing teachers in high-poverty schools. NBC News Now correspondent Priscilla Thompson is in Denver. Priscilla, this is the largest school district in Colorado we're talking about. Vaccinating thousands of teachers in just a matter of weeks does not seem easy at all. How are they going about this one?
Allison, it is a huge task, but officials here say they are confident they can get it done. We got to look at what these vaccination efforts look like here. Over the weekend, they held their first mass vaccination site where they were able to vaccinate more than 1,000 teachers in a single day. And they tell us that they will continue that effort every weekend until they get through all of those teachers. And also during the week, the district is going school by school, letting those teachers know know what days they can make appointments to go get those vaccines. And they expect that they can get through a campus in around a day or two. And so on those days when the teachers are heading to the clinic to get their appointments, students will be able to work from home on projects and assignments independently while those teachers are getting that taken care of. And of course, officials here have said that they want to get all 18,000 educators vaccinated by the end of next month. Right now, they've done more than 3,000, so still a ways to go. But of course, health officials are warning that this is all going to depend on how many vaccine doses they get each week and that they are able to continue vaccinating at this pace. Allison?
Priscilla, tell us more about this decision to prioritize teachers in low-income schools and what the district is saying about the importance of getting teachers and kids back into those classrooms.
Right. The district says that this is about equity, and this is about helping those students who really need teachers in front of them the most right now. Here at Dow Elementary School, 100% of the staff has been vaccinated. They were among the first in line to get that done. And I spoke with the school psychologist. She works across grade levels in this school, and she said that she had a lot of anxiety about coming back here in person and possibly being a cause of community spread, not only in the school, but throughout the neighborhood. And so she feels so much better coming back now, knowing that she is fully vaccinated. And I spoke with a number of other teachers about that and really the importance of getting back in front of students. Take a listen to what some of them had to say.
Well, many of our parents and families and guardians don't have the option to stay home and work from home. They're in community-facing jobs. They're working in restaurants, retail, construction, and so they don't have the choice to stay home, and they're more at risk for COVID for that reason. And they also need a safe place for their kids to go so that they can go do their essential jobs.
Those kids, I feel, need an education so badly, and like a real education where they can come into a building and they have a consistent day. They get meals, they get breakfast, they get lunch, they get to be in a community of teachers and other people who believe in them.
And Allison, I also spoke with the local Teachers Association about this plan, and they told me that while there were some questions about whether or not it made more sense to prioritize larger schools or perhaps teachers that work with larger class sizes, so think choir or band, that overwhelmingly the Teachers Association was in agreement that this was the best rollout plan for getting teachers vaccinated. Allison?
Priscilla, the CDC issuing new guidelines last week saying that teachers do not need to be vaccinated before they head back in. I imagine though some folks in Denver, given what they're doing, might see that a little bit differently. What are they saying there?
Yeah, it's a complicated question. I will tell you that the district officials tell me that what they're doing is already in line with what the CDC is suggesting. So here in Denver, 60% of students are already back for either full-time in-person learning or a hybrid type of situation, depending on what campus they're at. So really already following those CDC guidelines. But in speaking to teachers, it was certainly a complicated question, with some of them saying they would have no hesitation about going back into the classroom even without a vaccine, but others weren't quite so sure. Take a listen to what one teacher told me.
To tell teachers that they don't have to be vaccinated, knowing that there's a high risk for getting the virus, you're also telling somebody that there's a high risk that they could have a long-term lasting impact on their physical health and their physical well-being. And I just don't think that that's worth it for me and my family.
There that even with that guidance from the CDC saying that this is safe, there are still some teachers who aren't quite sure. And so I think it's going to take some time for folks to figure out where they fall on that sort of spectrum. Allison?
Yeah, it's a tough question for sure, Priscilla, but really awesome to hear that Denver is prioritizing getting kids back in the classroom who need to be back in the classroom the most. Thank you so much.